Hi, everybody. Welcome to the February newsletter video. I am Cindy Skalicky, and thanks for watching. We have done some really interesting work the last few weeks on question answering and question asking. When leaders are moving upward into new senior level circles, or really any leader feels anxious about answering questions well. And I want to bring you a three-part mini module today, predicting, planting, probing, because those three words that all start with P lend to a strategy around question asking and question answering. When you're in a strategy call or even a brainstorming session, a pitch, a customer conversation. We did a big event last month with 100 leaders on improving customer conversations. Answering questions and probing for answers is a big piece of communication skills, right? So let's talk about predicting. Anytime you're heading into a meeting that's a board meeting, an investor meeting, a peer level meeting, thinking about the questions that you can predict that you might receive, whether you're the main event or not. What's your zone? What's your area of expertise? And what's the topic? What's the setup for the call or meeting? Can you predict what other people might ask you about? And what might you say in response that's clear and concise and generates forward motion for the topic at hand. So that's predicting. So think, and it really just requires a little bit of time to think alone and ahead of your meeting to jot down, 3 to 5 questions. And so that's step one. The next P in my little list here is planting. So if you are the presenter, think of the questions that you are predicting will come and plant seeds in your presentation that either answer those in full or begin the process of addressing them. Sometimes it's great for an audience to hear something like, so one of the questions I usually get about this strategy is boom, 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 and then you go ahead and just answer it right there because your audience recognizes that what they're probably wondering about, they now know it's common and that you've already thought of that, and it frees them up to ask you a new and potentially better question that's going to make the answer session, the Q&A session, more efficient from the perspective of, getting the most value out of that Q&A session. So maybe that's just one or two things that you can plant and make sure that you touch on. And if someone wants more depth later, they can ask you that. So we have predicting, we have planting, and then we have probing. And the probing can be twofold. Number one, if you're the presenter and someone asks a question, but you don't totally understand the context they're asking that in, probe. Can you say a little more about that? Can you give me an example of the situation you have in your mind? Perfectly reasonable to say that, right? And then when it comes to probing in the informal or impromptu situations, those are simple words like, can you tell me a little more about that problem with the material that we've provided? Can you tell me a little more about where things seem to be going off the rails in your supply chain process? I'm not 100% sure I understand your perspective. Can you say a few more words about that? So probing, oh, that's really interesting. I wasn't expecting you to say it that way. Do you know why that might be happening? Right? So probing just helps the person go deeper, one more notch, and it gives you insight into how they see the problem. Sometimes we know that, or we think we know what the answer is, but we really, even if we do, we want to hear the problem the way they see it, through their lens, from their perspective, and hear their pain. And that's particularly helpful in customer conversations where you're building trust, looking for new avenues of growth in a product line, for example, or simply just understanding how they see the world. So these are the 3 P's of, questions and answer sessions: predicting, planting, and probing. So I hope that you found those helpful. I had such a great time. I was talking in my the audiobook that's coming out shortly at the end of March. I've been recording it, I've been narrating it, and in my chapter on the letter T in the how-to model, which stands for Tell Me More, the first line on that page is, one of my favorite parts of watching presenters is watching how they handle the Q&A session. It tells me so much about a speaker, their preparation, their agility in being able to answer a question concisely and clearly, not too long, not too short, and just how their mind is working and how they are doing it, connecting to the audience. So thanks for watching this quick video for the February newsletter. I hope you enjoy the rest of our updates here. Please hit reply. Let me know what's happening in your world this month, and we'll be back in March with an update on the audiobook launch and some events that we're heading out to. We're going to be in Texas in March, and we're heading to some other areas of the U.S. in April as well to work with some senior teams, and we'd love to hear from you. Have a great day. Bye.